Welcome back, everyone. In the final segment, I'm going to recap the entire bracket for you. I'm going to make a few predictions and I'll go over some closing information. The one thing I will not do is I am not going to try to predict the final four. I learned a long time ago trying to predict brackets is like trying to do a crossword puzzle in pen. It just doesn't work very well. Once again, the number one seeds are as follows. In the West, it's Gonzaga. In the East, it's the Michigan Wolverines. In the South, it's the Baylor Bears. In the Midwest, it's the Illinois Fighting Illini. Now, with that having been said, I don't see any third seeds or higher being upset in the first round unless the Crimson Tide are upset by Iona in the East region in the first round. There have only been 8 second seeds upset in the first round. And all of those have occurred within the last 30 years. I don't see this as being a year where that's going to happen. Also bear in mind, all the games will be played within the state of Indiana. However, they will not all be played at Lucas Oil Stadium as I thought they would be. In terms of some of the teams that I believe could be upset, I don't see any team that's even a 4th seeded team being upset in the first round. So therefore, a 5th seeded team would be the highest seeded team, which has happened in other years, especially within the pod system, which, as far as I know, doesn't really exist this year. There are certainly any number of 5th seeded teams that could be upset, from Creighton, though I don't think they will be, to the Colorado Buffaloes, who I believe have a chance to. Villanova Wildcats, I think, have the best chance of being upset in the first round. And the Tennessee Volunteers have somewhat of a chance. But if I had to guess as to 2 of the 5th seeds that would be upset, it would be the Colorado Buffaloes by the Georgetown Hoyas and the Villanova Wildcats by Winthrop. Other than that, I think all the other upsets you'll see in the first round will be lower seeded teams and mild upsets. I also don't see that many upsets occurring in the first round, but if there are, it'll be because of teams, particularly in the Big Ten, being familiar with Lucas Oil Stadium, whereas their opponent may not be as much. So bear that in mind as well. In terms of where all these games are going to be played, as I've stated, some will be played at Lucas Oil Stadium, including the first round matchups. Others will be played at Assembly Hall, and then others are going to be played in locations I'm not familiar with. So on that, your guess is as good as mine. And then all the times of these games have yet to be determined, and that will factor in this as well. Although, be it the playing games, apparently will all be played on Thursday, which is quite a change from how it usually is, as those games are usually played on Tuesday. And then how it develops from there, I'm not entirely sure. But it did look like the standard Thursday, Saturday, Friday, Sunday matchups were in effect, to be certain. And other than that, I think that covers this in its entirety, for sure. Once again, bear in mind the top seed Michigan Wolverines had an injury or Isaiah Livers had an injury that will keep him out for the entirety of the tournament, and I think it'll affect how far the Wolverines actually go in this year's N.C.A.A. tournament. And also the Michigan State Spartans, who are also in the East, will have to beat the UCLA Bruins in order to get into the tournament to play BYU in the first round. And once again, all the times and locations for all this have not been determined. If I manage to get that information before the tournament begins, I will pass that along to all of you, particularly as it pertains to the Wolverines and the Spartans. Well, like I said, other than that, your guess is as good as mine in this one. And this is going to be a very, very interesting tournament, but compared to last year, it's progress and we're a lot farther along. And it's better to have a tournament that's like this than to not have an N.C.A.A. tournament at all. And I think that's something we can all agree upon. And that will do it for this year's N.C.A.A. bracket special. My name is Ed Moss. I thank all of you for joining me. If you're on the roads, drive safely. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend. And let the upsets begin. I'll be back when games have started to be played, and I'll pass along scores for you as I get them. Until then, goodbye for now. And take care, everyone.